Hey, welcome back. I'm Bianca, and if you're new here, hello. I'm glad you found this video. Today I want to talk about something that I think doesn't get nearly enough airtime. We talk a lot about triggers, and if you're moving through grief or a hard season or a life that looks nothing like you planned, you know exactly what I mean. A song comes on in the supermarket, you scroll past an announcement on social media, someone says something to you that was probably well-meaning, and suddenly you're not okay anymore. Your whole body shifts. That's a trigger. And it's real, and it makes complete sense. But today I want to talk about the other side of the coin, something called a glimmer. And I genuinely think that understanding this concept changed how I moved through my hard days. I hope it does the same for you. I'm Bianca Johnson. I'm an author, empowerment coach, and the founder of Bianca Johnson Empowerment. I work with people who are navigating grief and life transitions, especially around the pregnancy loss area. On this channel, you'll find real conversations, practical tools, my honest lived experience every single Monday, as far as possible. If that sounds like the kind of thing, then I'd love it if you'd hit subscribe. I'd love to have you here, sharing on this journey. You're not broken because you have triggers. A trigger is a sensory or emotional cue that activates your nervous system's threat response. It's your body doing exactly what it was designed to do. It's your nervous system saying, I've been here before and it wasn't safe. Triggers feel unpredictable. They have this quality of ambushing you out of nowhere. It can be triggered by something like a smell, noticing the date in a calendar, seeing a stranger's baby in the shopping center. It's not a weakness that you are triggered by things outside of you. It's grief. Your nervous system is doing its job. In all of these lines, I talk about how grief ambushes you. It's not a neat timeline. I honestly thought something was wrong with me when I was still being triggered years later. But nothing was wrong with me, and nothing is wrong with you. Well, the term glimmer comes from a researcher and therapist called Deb Danner, who works with something called polyvagal theory, which is essentially the science of how our nervous system responds to safety and threat. And she coined the term glimmer as the opposite of a trigger. Where a trigger cues your nervous system towards threat and danger, a glimmer is a small moment, often tiny, often unexpected, that cues your nervous system towards safety, towards connection, towards something that feels, even briefly, like okay. A glimmer is not toxic positivity. It's not look on the bright side. It's not bypassing your pain or pretending everything is fine. And it's not a replacement for grief work. A glimmer is just a moment of noticing, a small thing that opens something in you, even for 30 seconds, even in the middle of a really hard day. In all of these lines, I wrote about it before I even had a word for it. I talked about the glimmers of positivity during a pregnancy, the small exhales, the tiny pockets of air. I didn't know what they were called. I just knew they felt different. That's a glimmer. So what do glimmers actually look like? The concept sounds beautiful in theory, but let's make it real. This year's had some really heavy moments. Yesterday was the memorial of a friend of mine. But here are what my glimmers have looked like. We have these birds in our garden called the Green Woodhoopoe. It's a striking bird with a red beak and iridescent feathers. The Zulu name is iHlekabafazi, which means cackling woman. And that's exactly what they sound like. This noisy, chattering cackle that the group of them sound like as they fly from tree to tree. For me, it sounds like being away from the city. That is my glimmer, the moment I hear them in the garden. And it's not every day, but it's fairly often. It's this little moment of I am safe, I am in nature, the world is right with everything. It doesn't fix anything, but for that moment, my body and my mind are saying safe. Other glimmers for me include things like that perfect first bite of a lemon meringue pie. Tart, sweet, slightly crunchy, buttery crust. The way it lights up your mouth as the tart hits and then the sweet comes through. My kitten Jingle has a habit of coming in late at night and meowing very loudly to let me know that she wants me to bring my hand out from under the covers. And as soon as I've done that, she will curl up in my hand with her head tucked into the palm of my hand. And that for me is this cozy little glimmer of she feels safe and I feel safe. Hearing the song Walking on Sunshine has always been a glimmer for me. It's even more so when you're out in the wild and it plays in a restaurant or the shopping sound system. It's just one of those songs that always just brings so much joy. And another one for us since moving to the Midlands is sitting in the garden at sunset and watching and hearing the crowned cranes come into land in our wetland. They fly in, these enormous birds, with their hawump call as they come into land. And it's again this little glimmer that I know I am safe. Your glimmers will look nothing like mine, and that's exactly right. They're personal, they're yours. It's the things that help your nervous system respond with a quiet yes. And how to practice it is literally just noticing, pausing, even if for a few seconds, and noticing that tiny spark of joy that your nervous system has recognized. So how do we go about cultivating glimmers? The first step is to name it when it happens, out loud or consciously in your mind, or if you're journaling in your journal. That was a glimmer. Naming trains your brain to look for them. When you're naming something, you'll notice it more. It's that whole same thing when you're looking at buying a car and all of a sudden, all you see are the cars that you're considering. What you look for, you begin to find. Step 2 is don't try to manufacture them. Glimmers aren't forced. You notice, you don't create. Pressure turns it into the opposite of what it's meant to be. Build a glimmer library. Make a note on your phone, a journal page, an album in your phone for photographs. Over time, you'll start to see the pattern of what opens you up. That self-knowledge is incredibly powerful. In all of these lines, I have a 5 senses exercise. The 5 senses exercise tells you to stop and pay attention to 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 you can taste. It's a tool for getting back into your body. It works beautifully alongside the glimmer practice because glimmers are almost always sensory. They arrive through your senses before your brain catches up. Here's what I want to leave you with. Triggers and glimmers will both be part of your life. I'm not going to tell you that the triggers go away because I know that's not always true, and I'd rather be honest with you than hopeful in a way that sets you up. But the more you practice noticing the glimmers, the small moments of safety, the tiny exhales, the less alone the triggered moments feel. Not because the pain is smaller, but because you have evidence. Evidence that there are still moments of okay, that your nervous system can still find its way to safety, even briefly. That matters more than I can tell you. Before I go, if you haven't already, please do hit subscribe. I'm here every Monday. If you're in a hard season and you're not sure where to start, I have a free 5-day email series called Finding Yourself Again After Pregnancy Loss. It's gentle, it's practical, and it will meet you exactly where you are. The link is in the description of the video. And once you're in, you'll flow straight into my weekly newsletter, Lines from Bianca, every Thursday. I share something real from my life and my work, and I share what's been happening around me. And if you know someone in a hard season, please share this with them. Sometimes the most useful thing is just knowing there's a word for the small moment of okay. I'll see you next Monday. Take care of yourself.